Welcome to Reach. A planet home of the UNSC military and of the Spartan 2 and 3 training programs, where elite soldiers are bred to surpass human limitations granted when equipped with the appropriate gear. Reach is a planet full of prosperity, but this opulence had all but come to a halt as word of the Covenant landing on Reach made waves around the planet. You were introduced to Noble Team soon after you land. The Noble Team is in place as a defense squad in the Human Covenant War. But here on Reach,
Commander.
So that's our new number 6.
it's to protect and ensure the planet's well-being as it's Earth's last defense. So if Reach falls, Earth is almost certain to follow suit. And this is why these 6 nobles are tasked with such an important high-stakes mission.
Beautiful, ain't it? Someone should take a picture.
Throughout the story, the nobles share a determined, melancholy feel. And this is due to the atmosphere you are set in. For every progressive effort given towards protecting Reach, the Covenant are executing 2 more attacks before you can even bear the thought of resting. But that's nothing Noble Team can't handle. So, who are the Nobles? They are delineated as the premier operatives from the Spartan 2 and 3 program, praised for their nobility and their extraordinary distinct abilities. Composing of high-ranking officers expected to give their lives to complete the mission if it came down to that. And headlining Noble Team is Noble 1, Carter. Known for being a born leader and his uncanny ability to inspire and to adapt. With him comes intangibles, things you can't measure yet know and hold the importance of. He and Kat, or Noble 2, are both longtime Noble Team members, both leading the fight in their previous mission, fighting in the Battle of Fumarole. The battle sustained major casualties on both sides, with the UNSC coming out on top thanks to a valiant effort by one Noble. Noble 1 and Noble 2 both hold massive amounts of guilt for the sacrifice of Tom, or your predecessor, Noble 6. And specifically Kat, not only bearing the mental scar, but a physical one as well, now wielding a robotic arm as she's earned her spot as the team's second in command. Kat is a tech wizard, master of intellect, as there isn't a system she couldn't crack, or so the legend goes, while her ability to obtain and digest information is also widely considered to be supernatural. And then there's Noble 3, June, the team's marksman and self-proclaimed best shot. While he was also present at the Battle of Fumarole, his role was relatively insignificant as he, Noble 4, and 5 were handling cover fire, though it's said June is a solid soldier that never cracks under pressure. And next is Noble 4, Emil, the one with the deadliest style and past, equipped with a shotgun and a shoulder-mounted knife, almost as if he was born to kill the Covenant alone. Since he was orphaned and his brother risked his life to save Emil, It's almost as if he slays in the name of who he had already lost. And then there's Noble 5, George, who is a Spartan too, unlike the rest of the team. Big armor with an even bigger heart. Specializing in heavy weapons, he isn't a noble to take lightly. And covering his big heart is the most fortified noble amongst the team. But he carries more than just his own heart. He carries the team's spirits, almost as if he was the big brother for the entire fire team. But that doesn't take away from his hardened military exterior, unless he encounters his mother, Dr. Halsey, who never fails to keep him in check. And lastly, you, Noble 6.
Cat, you read his file?
Only the parts that weren't covered in black ink.
Your history is hidden in a shroud of obscurity, but from what wasn't redacted, you carried out many solo assassinations and covert op missions. But outside of that, nothing else is really known. And together, you make Noble Team. All deadly on their own, but together, the sum of your already efficient parts breeds an unstoppable, merciless team that nothing can stand in the way of. Led by experienced original members and newcomers, and even a solo assassin. And as well, each noble is expected to give their life and jump at the mere chance of succession. Joining this team knowing you'll die for the cause. Fading behind orders you'll often not believe in. Disagreeing with calls, but believing in the protection of Reach and the protection of the only home you have left. This is why this group of officials and this group alone are so essential. Doing the work other operatives would never dream of doing. Well, I guess, nightmare of doing. But that's what makes them elite. Not only their skill set, but their mindset. Their understanding that there are things outside of themselves that are important, bigger things. And for many of them, they have nothing left. No family, no friends, nothing to find solace in. Nothing else to turn to, except each other, because that's all they have left. Your higher-ups clearly don't care about you and your team, as you are tasked with holding off the Covenant in some sick game of chess. You slowly start to see the world around you become overrun, and your efforts grow fruitless, giving a sense of hopelessness.
Oh my god. Mayday! Mayday! 6 Echo 2, can you maintain altitude? Negative!
But as long as Noble Team is together, there's nothing you can't do, right? Right? Well, first, it was the touchdown of the Covenant on Reach, which Noble Team slowed and destroyed, not only at the cost of their own Noble
Listen,
5.
Reach has been good to me. Time has come to return the favor. Don't deny me this. Tell him to make it count.
But also in vain, since a Covenant support fleet responded to that carrier in distress. And with seemingly every bit of bad news comes a hearse to accompany civilians, officials, and some of your very own. We are far from done, unfortunately. Then comes rescuing civilians and redeeming New Alexandria just to reunite with the team before the entire city gets glassed, making the area virtually uninhabitable. Again, at the loss of yet another Noble member, Noble 2. Next, the discovery of Dr. Halsey and her AI unit, Cortana. As we are told, this AI unit bears more importance than any single human life alone, and maybe even some numbers in the masses. While keeping that in mind, 3 out of the 4 nobles, 1, 4, and 6, ventured to the Pillar of Autumn, the eventual savior of the human race, while June, Noble 3, stays with Dr. Halsey to escort her safely, presumably off a bridge. And though you wouldn't know it yet, this would mark the beginning phases of the fall of the Noble Team, and eventually Reach itself. First, Noble 1, whose words ring in your head like a siren while tasked with delivering Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn. And then Noble 4, but in true Noble fashion, he didn't leave without a fight. And finally you, Noble 6, whose last moments are pivotal in the preservation of the human race, fighting to your last breaths, and even long after. And at the end, following a decisive blow in what seems like a hopeless effort, it feels like you lost. You feel as if though you yourself were on that planet Reach, losing what they lost, feeling what they felt, seeing the lifelike foliage and scenery turn into red polluted skies as it's really what feels like just 6 people versus an entire army. And you can see it in the characters, how hope flees from their grasp each and every time there's a breakthrough. This perfect team put together as a collective, with broken pieces of their psyches to make one coherent operation, but you also see their personalities shine much brighter. George decided to risk his life to save you, and at the time, the rest of Reach, so you carry his dog tags. Kat treating you as a sibling, teasing and joking with her serious yet sarcastic comments at you, so you carried her lifeless body to the fallout shelter. June, being kinda edgy for no reason. Emil, determined, giving everything he had for you until the very end, until the last stick of his heart. You then went about carrying out his mission, and made it a point to slaughter his murderers along the way. Maybe the most important, Carter.
No, you can't. Not without help.
Commander, you don't have the firepower.
I've got the mask.
Solid copy. Hit him hard, boss.
You're on your own, Noble.
Believing in your ability and trusting you far more than he or anyone else did previously, claiming that
AI chose you. She made the right choice.
carrying these commanded lifting words on tired shoulders. You saw their development under their helmets, evolving from strangers to comrades you run into battle with, to realizing they're all you have and not their family. There was a mutual unspoken trust and admiration for each member to one another. Bickering never turned into hate. Their words and tone never conveyed malice. And you can say that they're just mature military officials, but it's much more than that. It's beyond a mutual respect and understanding. It is, however, damaging, as Carter emphasizes how
Just one thing. I've seen your file. Even the parts the Oni census didn't want me to. Glad to have your skill set. But we're a team. That lone wolf stuff stays behind. Clear? Got it, sir.
as you become accustomed to the team, you understand them, but you aren't together long enough to become comfortable. And the fall of Reach only lasts a little over a month. The entire story feels like a slew of pivotal events over the course of years. But in actuality, it only takes place from July 24th to August 30th. A gruesome, exhausting month-long journey displayed in 10 hours of gameplay, yet has the feeling of a conflict beyond its years. Seeing 5 of the 6 nobles you trusted succumb to the same fate as you in Reachwood not long after is truly a tragedy. And all of this in a prequel, just to transfer an asset to a UNSC vessel. And in the end, your efforts did result in a probable victory. Well, in a sense. Sacrificing a life, no, countless lives, for just a chance. For just a chance at a generation of people you'll never know, and who will never know you, nor your admiration and your dedication to defying the odds. Knowing your only purpose is to aid the eventual main character of the rest of the series, who is on that very pillar, John 117. Knowing what you do has no real purpose after learning so much about this world and your enemies and your fellow Spartans. It's full of pain, yet so full of life. The story itself doesn't feel empty or lacking in potential, but rather being a part of a true tragedy. Being a part of such a prestigious group just to pass on all in our own ways almost feels anticlimactic. And on a character level, it feels as if though there is something missing, like there's a crater of unexplored emotion. But maybe that's the point, to feel as if though, yes, you've completed your mission, but are lacking that emotional and critical depth that these Spartans held in their past lives. But what do you do when there's nothing to find solace in? And where do you go when there are no more missions to complete?